morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. I'm glad that you've come to join us, and it's always lovely to see you. Welcome to Daring to Show Up, the older gal movement, and believing in yourself here on the Jar of Marbles podcast. Daring to show up, that's 95% perspiration and 5% desperation. Look, I'm so glad you're here. Me and my sidekick Bob, we're here to help you find your inner superhero. 1 year today, or thereabouts, I started this podcast, and I've got to say it's been an amazing... Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, okay. I wanted to start my own podcast. I had started with my daughter a podcast called Mum and I. It was a very candid and relaxed sort of podcast, and we discussed our individual perspectives, me nearly 35 years older than my daughter, Carla, and we covered important subjects like mental health and things we didn't really know about each other, and it was really starting to, gain a bit of traction, but unfortunately, Carla was getting noticeably busy with her Twitch channel, and so it came to a bit of a halt. We still think we might do it again, breathe a little bit of life into it, but meanwhile, I had got the bug and I really wanted to keep going with the podcast, and it was something that I had wanted to do, but I just didn't know how to go about it, and I thought that maybe when I would be doing the podcast with my daughter that I would learn things, but I didn't. I didn't learn anything at all, because it's like anything, you've got to teach yourself, and given that it was going to be a different lineup as in a solo podcast, that's a different ball game too, because you haven't got anybody to bounce ideas off. What about me? Well, aside you, Bob, I'd be completely by myself. Quite right. That's right. That's absolutely right. So I decided that I was going to show up for myself, create this podcast, and show myself that I believed in myself. I honest to goodness, I really had no idea what I was doing. So to get the audio right and then to learn how to edit, which is kind of interesting, because when I had started my very first podcast, I didn't realise that I didn't say goodbye. So when I went back to try and edit it, I realised I didn't know how to edit. So by that stage, I was on to, 2, 3, episode 4, 5, 6, and now, we're well and truly into into the 50s. So I realised that I was going to have to just give it a go. What was the worst that was going to happen? The worst that would happen is that absolutely nobody would be interested in it, and I will just keep up showing up every week to do this. Why? Because I really enjoy it, and my intentions are very, very clear, and that is, to meet like-minded people who don't necessarily have to be in their 60s, 70s, 80s or 90s, who can be safely in their 20s or less, or 30s, 40s, 50s, because all our experiences are relevant. Everything that we go through, I've either gone through or I'm going to go through. And if you've listened to any of the other podcasts, you'll know that a nice healthy dose of laughing at myself goes, I think, just about every podcast. And I love the idea of being silly and having fun, and hoping that transfers to you, where you might have a bit of a giggle as well, because that, let's face it, it is one of the best medicines that we can ever, have, is laughing. So buckle up, folks, because we're about to embark on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and a whole lot of awkward moments. It's time to ditch. Don't you just love an awkward moment when you know it's an awkward moment? Is it just me? It's just me, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's just you. Okay. Goes without saying that if we are showing up for a gig, or we're just showing up anywhere, whatever that may be, there is a high chance that something's going to happen that wouldn't have had you not shown up, even if it's just the satisfaction of yourself showing up in itself is so very, very rewarding. As Woody Allen said, 80% of success is showing up, and all he meant by that is all you need to do is show up. While that percentage might not actually be true, the message it embodies is a powerful one, and certainly one to consider. If you're a writer, show up at the keyboard. If you're writing a book, your poetry, go through the discomfort of sitting down at the blank page. If you're a runner, put on those sneakers, go through the struggle of getting outside in the morning cold, feeling sleepy. Now, this is a bit of a change of subject, but I had a fresh orange juice this morning, with ginger in it. I may have put in too much ginger, and I felt like I had just swallowed a chili. It was so hot. The ginger was so hot. Anyway, I'm not giving up. I love it, but I just thought I'd just mention that in case any of you girls out there are having, those lovely orange ginger shots. But you know what's so strange about it was afterwards I thought, I could get hooked. I sort of feel like I'd like to have another one. Anyway, if you're a student, sit down each morning and just open up a book. Showing up means just starting, not working yourself to the bone. This is far more than not doing any of those starts at all. I think that's really good thinking. It is, Bob. At the very least, you make a start. Sometimes it can feel like it's all stacked against you. Oh my goodness, though, can't it? I hear you. I hear you. That is the time to ask yourself, how much do I want this? Which is what I did with this podcast, because, oh my goodness, I ran into all sorts of little challenges, shall we say? And I thought, I'm going to work this out. I have to work this out. There was no part of me has ever gone, I'm not doing this anymore. This is just too hard. And at the moment, really, other really weird things are happening. Like, for example, I get 148 views and something like 8, hours or less. And then about 56, because it is 56, I counted, views just disappear. It's been happening every single podcast, the last 3 podcasts, where I've got X number of views and then it just gobbles, they just disappear, and then it starts climbing again, and then it all disappears. Now, it's not subscriptions, it's views. So, anyway, like as I say, things that you just go, why am I bothering? I don't ask that question. I never ask that question. I am here to stay. I want to be like this really old podcaster that goes, hello, everybody. It's Linda. It's jar of something. And today we're going to talk about, oh, God, I don't know. But, well, I'm here. I'm showing up. That's at the very least I could do. It's the least I could do, though, isn't it? That's what I think too. I agree. So do I, Bob. There is always going to be those bloody bumps in the road, and those are the times to keep going. If only in your mind telling yourself, I'll start again tomorrow. There are people who wish they started a business. I've met plenty of those people who have always wanted to have a cafe, for example. When I was in the cafe business, I bought and sold 4. And during that time, the amount of people that said to me, I've always wanted to have a business. And I know that they had this idea, these are just particular personalities that I knew at the time, who thought they would just roll up in a really nice clean apron and they would stand majestically behind their till and it would just magically fill with money. Well, I tell you what, there's no magic. And so while people might like the idea of what you're doing, because sometimes what you're doing, if you're doing it really well and you make it look simple, everybody thinks they can do it. And you know what? They actually could. But you've really got to have, I've always thought, sort of workaholic tendencies, or you just have a standard that you really want to keep. And clients kind of notice that. So it's a good thing. It's got to be a good thing. Oh, I think it's a good thing. Yes, Bob, you are right again. I love your style. Do you, Bob? Thanks, man. That's so nice. When you show up, you show intent. You do the hardest part. You start. I mean, isn't that so true? That's that moment, that pivotal moment where you go, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. Hashtag dare to show up. It's a podcast, not running for president. There's so many podcasts out there. The fact I have followers, I do, it amazes me. That's what it's all about, is people gravitating to you or me or you, Bob, and being consistent. When Soundtrack works, which is next to never, to load to Spotify, but I, as in me, I show up every week without fail. What if the subject you talk about is not as popular as last week's subject? Already happened numerous times, Bob, and the ones that got something out of it, enjoyed it, then that's so good. I feel good about that. And the truth is, I cannot control the outcome of every podcast, and I'm okay with that. It's like controlling the sun. Wouldn't even bother. You feel me, Bob? Oh, yeah, I got it. But I can control whether I show up, so I do. I dare to show up. Also, I think showing up, there has to be a little mix of your intention. I knew I would be learning on the job with this podcast, for example. I wanted to develop it, and and I wanted to bring to it my loves, writing, music, humour, my love of people, composition, inspiration, gardening, comedy. Look, there's a lot. There's more, but, let's not get too carried away.
You carried away?
What are you saying, Bob? I didn't think so. Yeah, what? Yeah. When you show up, you show intent. You do the hardest part. You start. Because starting anything new, going from 0 to 1 and then 2 and 3 and breaking through gravity can be incredibly difficult. But when there isn't a secret or hidden agenda and you're simply enjoying what you're doing with good intentions for others, then I think there is definitely something of a special dynamic that shows up within itself. You need to show up consistently every day for weeks, months, even years. You need a way to keep going. And I think that's where the genuine joy is, the standout difference. If you kill yourself with work and or worry today, you won't be able to show up tomorrow. So whenever you're having a bad day, just tell yourself, I did the most important part. I showed up. Because you know what? Most people don't. That's right. That's true. Yep. Good. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Daring to show up can mean many different things to different people. Hashtag daring to show up. It can mean facing your fears, taking a risk, being vulnerable, simply being present in the moment. Whatever it means to you, the act of showing up can be incredibly powerful and transformative. It's important to dare to show up, and you'll find that you, by default, almost, you will cultivate the courage to do so. Why is it important to show up? You ask, well, let me tell you. Daring to show up means taking a step towards growth and progress. It means being willing to try new things, take risks, and learn from our mistakes. When we show up, we demonstrate to ourselves and others that we are committed to our goals and willing to put in the effort to achieve them. On the other hand, when we don't show up, we limit our potential, miss out on opportunities for growth and connection. We may feel stuck in our current situation or afraid to take the necessary steps to move forward. By daring to show up, we break through these barriers and open ourselves up to new possibilities. How can you cultivate the courage to show up? Showing up can be challenging, especially if we're facing something that scares us or feels uncomfortable. However, with practice and a few key strategies, we can build our courage and become more confident in our ability to show up. One of the things I love about us humans is we think we're going to live forever. Between you and me in the back fence post, I often think to myself, well, you'll be dead a long time. I do love me a list. Lists are the bomb. I came up with 4 suggestions to help to be clear about as you dare to show up. So it is important to get real with yourself and identify your values and goals. Knowing what's important to you and what you want to achieve can help you stay motivated and focused when it's time to show up. Take some time to reflect on your values and goals and consider how showing up can help you move closer to them. For me, I'm inspired by inspiration, statements and quotes that I can relate to. I'm moved by the possibility that life offers me, and why not, I say to me, I can sleep if I know I'm giving something a red hot go. I love creating out of nothing and seeing what happens. I love coming from a what have I to lose sort of, which suggests there's much to gain perspective. And what else can I create here? What else is possible? What could I try if I'm given an opportunity and the chance to dare to show up? See what I did there? Yes, exactly. And those are facts.
What did you do there?
See, I'm too fast for you, Bob. Now, the other thing, number 2, if you like, is practice self-compassion. Showing up can be scary, and it's important to be gentle with yourself as you navigate these challenges. Instead, beating yourself up for feeling nervous or unsure, practice self-compassion by acknowledging your feelings and offering yourself words of encouragement and support. Like I often say to myself, it's okay, Linda, you can do this. I really do. And sometimes I call myself Lindy Pindy. And so I'll say Lindy Pindy, when I'm reassuring myself. I really do comfort myself when I feel myself getting uptight. And like all things, it passes. Number 3, take small steps. Building courage takes time and practice. So start small by taking on tasks that feel manageable and build up from there. By taking small steps towards your goals, you'll gradually build your confidence and become more comfortable with showing up. It is absolutely sensible and makes a ton of sense to do bit by bit. And in the scheme of things, that is usually what we all have to work with initially anyway. I'm always grateful for that. I've said a number of times, had I known what I was in for when I was learning to run a podcast, the software and the sound levels, the equipment, and a dozen other incidentals, I may have run to the hills with Bob.
Oh, would you?
I would have, Bob, yes. It took a little time to feel comfortable showing up. Now I can't wait to put my headphones on, hang out with Bobby Boy for a while and see what happens. I don't always know until something dawns on me. I actually do really like that. I could judge myself and not put up certain things, but I made a deal with myself, and that was I was going to keep the podcast real, mistakes and all, and hopefully enough time and podcasts would happen and I'd be forgiven. Not forgiven. Could you forgiven me? Because it's real. And also, I'm 61 too, so.
Oh, I don't get that.
No, me neither, Bob. Number 4, celebrate your wins. When you do show up, celebrate your accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem. Recognise the effort and courage it took to take that step and use it as motivation to continue showing up in the future. I'm not sure that I celebrate per se, but if I see something that I fancy when I'm out and about, I just go and get it. And I'm not at that point going, well, congratulations, I just go get it. But I do get really excited and inspired when people tell me that they love the podcast and that it helped them. That is the best. Also, when I'm painting, the river stones, each with an individual woman's face on it, and on the back I paint the jar of marbles with the Spotify and YouTube logos. I do photo shoots with them. I put them up on Facebook and not on Instagram at the moment. I'm thinking about that at the moment. But the point is, I leave them out when I'm on walks, on trains, planes, take photographs of them, doing various things. They go on holiday to the beach. They've been in caravan parks, to country hideaways. They've been just left all over the country, now in other countries. They've been to El Paso. They've gone over to Western Australia. And my next hope is they'll be going off to Florida and Scotland. So the hope is it will reach the right people who love the Jar of Marbles podcast and maybe, just maybe, might leave a message on YouTube to tell me that they found a rock chick, as I call them, in New Jersey, say, or New York. Let's see how far the reach is. I am planning on painting a set to commemorate my upcoming year with the podcast as a giveaway, and that'll probably be around in June sometime. But anyway, fancy that, getting some painted rocks in the mail. I now am truly excited. The stones are painted by me. It's all original art, kind of cute, colourful and sealed, and they will be one-offs, as are all of them, as are all women. And it is fun. God, it's so much fun. I'm daring marble dwellers to show up. Conclusion, therefore, is daring to show up can be challenging, but it's an essential part of personal growth and progress. By identifying your values and being real kind to your good self, you just might find you can, for sure, show up for yourself. A lot of times this feels like being really brave, and sometimes it is. But it's the being brave for you. This will only resonate especially if you are presently going through this, or you have done it or planning on doing it. Remember, you're a long time dead, marble dwellers. And have you noticed that when you have made another happy, how happy does it make you? I love that. Happiness is so amazing, isn't it? It doesn't even matter if it's yours. As we age, society often expects us to become more conservative and set in our ways. We're supposed to slow down, become more cautious and embrace a quieter, more predictable existence. But a growing number of seniors are bucking this trend, rejecting the traditional norms of ageing and embracing a more audacious, saucy and wise approach to life. I mean, I still feel like me. I didn't turn 61 and become a crusty old muffin man the day after my birthday.
I like muffins.
I know you like muffins, Bob. These audacious seniors are defying the stereotypes of ageing by jumping life tracks, much like quantum physics breaks the rules of classical physics. They are pursuing innovative and exciting paths that challenge and fulfill them. I was going to go fulfill them. Anyway, rather than settling for a comfortable yet unremarkable existence. What sets these audacious seniors apart is their willingness to take risks and embrace new experiences. They are not afraid to try something new or step outside their comfort zone. whether that means starting a new career, taking up a new hobby, or exploring new relationships. Many of these seniors are also leveraging technology to enhance their lives and stay connected with others. They're using social media to connect with friends and family, participating in online communities, and even starting their own online businesses. Oh my God, who knew? But it's just not about staying connected and pursuing new experiences. These audacious seniors are also making a positive impact on the world around them. They are volunteering, mentoring young generations, and using their wisdom and life experience to affect change in their communities. So, what can we learn from these audacious seniors? For one, we can all benefit from being a little bit more adventurous and open to new experiences. We can also challenge the traditional notions of aging and embrace a more vibrant and fulfilling approach to life. I had a cup of coffee with a friend of mine the other day, the gorgeous Alicia, and Alicia is 86. Looks like she could possibly maybe be in her mid-60s. Dresses so beautifully, walks tall and straight, is just a wonderful, feminine, interesting, intelligent woman. If you were to tell her that, she'd probably go, oh. And if you're listening, I hope that impression was, a good one. But anyway, as we move forward, we should all strive to be a little bit more audacious, saucy and wise, regardless of our age or stage in life, because ultimately, it's not about how long we live, but how fully we live each day. And suddenly, these sayings really mean what they say. Life can be tough, especially when you're striving to achieve your goals and dreams. Fortunately, not everyone will be supportive of your efforts, and some people may even criticise and judge you harshly. That's a bit drudgery of them, isn't it? Yes. This can be disheartening and demotivating, but it's important to remember that you have the power to stand strong and keep going with your smile on your face and your attitude in your jean pocket. When faced with criticism and negativity from others, it's easy to feel defeated, lose confidence in yourself. However, it's important to remember that other people's opinions don't define you or your worth. You are the only one who knows the true extent of your efforts and dedication, and it's essential to have faith in yourself and your abilities. That's right. That's absolutely correct. Thank you. And I'm saying thank you for you too. Thank you very much. That's right. Okay, that's enough. Now, one of the best ways to stay strong in the face of criticism is to focus on the positive aspects of your situation. Instead of dwelling on the negative comments, try to shift your mindset to focus on the progress you've made and the goals you're working towards. Remembering your successes and accomplishments can be a powerful motivator and help you stay committed to your goals. Another key to standing strong in the face of criticism is to maintain a positive attitude. This doesn't mean that you should ignore or dismiss negative comments, but rather it means that you should approach them with a constructive mindset. Use criticism as an opportunity to learn and grow rather than a reason to give up or feel defeated. Keeping a positive attitude can help you stay resilient and focused on your goals, even in the face of adversity. Lastly, it's important to have a support system of people who believe in you and your dreams. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people can provide you with the encouragement and motivation you need to keep going, even when things get a little bit tough. Whether it's friends, family, or a mentor, even if it's just one friend, having someone in your corner who believes in you and your abilities can make all the difference in staying strong and persevering through difficult times. Now, in conclusion, you're probably thinking, oh, thank goodness for that. Standing strong against people who criticise your efforts and judge you harshly can be challenging, but it's essential to keep going with your smile on your face because you know what? They're not doing it. You are. And maybe you should consider not telling certain people what you're doing because if you know that they're not going to be very, encouraging, just don't tell them if it's possible. I'm whispering so that they can't hear. And it's time for me to bid you adieu, dear marble dwellers. But before I go, let me leave you with this parting thought. Keep daring to show up in your life, even if it means wearing a tutu to work or singing karaoke in the grocery store. Life is too short to play it safe. So embrace your quirks and let your true self shine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to find a giant inflatable unicorn to ride into the sunset. Until next time, keep on daring to show up, say good day to the family and pat the pet worm. And I hope to see you next time. Okay, bye.